I have farming fever, everyone. Last time I was over here setting up a ton of basic farms, like the iron farm and the sheep farm. And then we started constructing a little bit of vitamin automation. This will speed up my VGC team creation, and it's something that I might be able to sell to the rest of my server mates. We'll see. So I want to make a factory over here, and you can see that I have been expanding this area. Of course, I had these little machines here that are producing a vitamin each. We built the protein one last time, but I had to build a few more of these things. One for each of the EV vitamins in the game, right? The iron, the carbos, the zinc, so on and so forth. So today I want to spend some time figuring out how we can automate this thing a little bit better, and I want to set up a user interface because eventually I want this to be a fully automatic, or at least somewhat automatic, factory with an interface that I or someone else can come over here and interact with. Yes, this is overkill. Yes, it's somewhat pointless with the tools that we have in the game. I could just move everything into a Tom Simple storage and shift click to craft, but we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. So I guess the first thing I need to tell you about is some edits that I've made to this contraption here. Highlighted on the screen now is the timer that I added. Now this little timer here is kind of like an Ethos hopper clock timer. About every 30 seconds, it's gonna run a pulse to the system, which is going to dispense the water bottles, and it's gonna start brewing some medicinal brews. Simple enough. And highlighted on the screen now is just a simple comparator checker that will toggle the system on and off, or the timer on and off, depending if the droppers are empty. So if the droppers are empty, which means nothing can be brewed, it's going to toggle the little timer on and off with this piston here. Of course, I can manually turn it on with this lever, but for now, as you can see, this redstone torch is off because, well, we're out of water bottles in the system right now. So that's a little edit that I made to the system to set it up for true automation, where this thing is just going to be making medicinal brews 24/7. And of course, I constructed the rest of these bad boys. I got them set up with hoppers. So there's a lot of items that we still need to figure out how we're going to automate, right? Some of these are going to be pretty simple. The berries, bone meal, yeah, okay, we can automate that. Wheat farming isn't too bad. Sugar, of course. But there are going to be some items that are going to be a bit more complicated to automate to some degree. Bone meal, obviously not too bad. Moss farms, hostile mob farm. And I don't really need to build everything today, but I want to get some outlines started. And one way I think I want to do this as well is maybe we reach out to some server mates and see what they've got. I know Lilith has a guardian farm that I'm sure I could use, and I think I'm going to be using shulker boxes for a lot of this, just for automation purposes. And I think even Minnie has a shulker box farm, so that might be something we borrow too. So before we start farming stuff today, I wanted to set up a little bit of a user interface. Now, what is a user interface? Well, you're probably familiar with them in some type of applications or your phone or computer, but it's just a way for you to interface as a user with a device and make it do what you want, more or less. So what we've got here is different, basically vertical sections, and each one of these vertical sections has some lamps in it and a lever. The machine's going to communicate with us here, and we're going to be running the device from here. This lever, ideally, is going to basically turn on the machine and let it make a bunch of whatever it is, and I've color-coded these based on the different power items for different vitamins. And the lamps are going to show us when something is out of material so that we can load that back in. There's going to be a few more sides to this main building here, so I'm going to get to place in some more blocks, and we'll come back once I start wiring up some of the redstone. I've been redstoning, and I basically have set up the first part, the protein maker. So if you take a look here, you'll see that I have little item frames next to these lights, and each item frame represents the item in the system, and if it is on, that means we're out of it. For example, we're out of red mints in the system right now. Now, doing the redstone for this isn't too complicated. Some torch towers from some signals down here that are just symbolizing if the items are out or not, running comparators out of the droppers, right? Not too complicated. But what I realized is that connecting all of these systems right here up to this interface, now that might be a little complicated, and we might run into some space issues. So that means I might need to rebuild or alter the way that these systems right here work. Might need to move them around, might need to shift them around, might need to lower them up or down and the y-axis just to make everything work, but at least we've got one system here set up, and that is the protein system, and that's what I want to get working today. Just another reminder that I'm doing this for fun and that I'm not super worried about optimization of time or efficiency. Yes, there are like shulker box unloaders. There's a bunch of different methods that I could use to really optimize this thing to its fullest capacity, but that's not really what I'm interested for. I'm finding joy in problem solving this myself with my limited knowledge. And number two, I'm not super worried about space or compaction of redstone. I want it to be somewhat efficient so that I'm not wasting a ton of material, but as far as making this the most compact thing ever for some tutorial or for the perfect, to fit in a perfect space, yeah, I don't really care about that. So we need to set up a few more things, including a timer, an off and on switch, and an item feed system for the proteins today. But let's switch to doing a little bit of Pokemon stuff for a while, because I am redstoned out for, well, I've been working on this for about an hour. I need a break. So let's get out to Pokédex and work on continuing to fill that up today. With the Johto Dex done, I think it only makes sense to move on to the Hoenn region Dex and save Kanto for last, because I think Kanto is going to be one of the harder ones to get. So let's swap this bad boy to the Hoenn region, and yeah, there's a few Pokemon we still need to get in here, right? But let's knock off some of the easy ones today. Let's start with Linoon and the C-Dot line. Lucky for me, I've already got a C-Dot, and it's ready to evolve. So let's go ahead and evolve this little acorn. Get ourselves the grass and dark type evolution of it, and that is Nuzleaf. One of the namesakes for the very popular game modes. I'm sure you guys have seen Nuzlocke. Yeah, so kind of named after the creator who liked Nuzleaf a lot. And I've got a few leaf stones, and that is what we need to get ourselves a Shiftry. So dual evolutions. You ready to evolve again, little guy? Dun, 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 dun. There it is, and we got ourselves a Shiftry. Pinocchio-looking nose on there. Man, look at that guy. Next up is Zigzagoon and Linoon, and I see a Zigzagoon on the map right now in the prairie biomes, and there's two different types of them. There's the Galarian and the regular Hoenn, but for the sake of completing the Hoenn Dex, let's go for the Hoenn one. Aha! Oh, it wags its tail. Look at him. There we go. I'm going to have to level him up a little bit before we get a Linoon, but that's okay. So next up is actually Kirlia, which I haven't caught yet. So let's level up a Ralts to a Kirlia, and Slacking I haven't caught yet. So we got to get a Vigoroth up to a Slacking. And it looks like my Vigoroth is ready to evolve already. Oh no, it's poisoned. I can't evolve it poisoned. Healing station. Ow. All right, it's all good to go now. Yeah, there we go. Vigoroth with 2 speed. It's gonna lose some of its speed with this evolution. It's gonna evolve into one of the highest stat total Pokemon in the game, Slacking, but it's gonna pick up that Truant ability, which means it's gonna get a little lazy. But that's okay. Oh yeah, we love this big guy anyway. And he learned Swagger. I bet you did, bro. Look at this dude. In the meantime, let's give some XP shares to Zigzagoon and Ralts. And that'll give him some XP. Next up, we got a little bit more leveling up to do with a Whismurline. And remember this Mawile? Well, a few episodes ago, I remembered seeing one, and I captured it in a boat. So let's return to the scene of the crime and catch that Mawile now, unless somebody took it. Okay, almost 3 weeks later, I've returned. It's been sitting in this boat for a long time. No! No! All right, come on. Gonna upgrade to some Ultra Balls. Maybe that'll help. Okay, Mawile hath been caught, and I can release this Rattata from its weeks-long tomb of not being able to despawn. Go back home, bro. The Whismurline is another one that we need, and we can go ahead and evolve this guy once right now. He looks really sad. No, that face. Don't be sad. Be loud, as in Loudred. Let's go ahead and evolve this guy. Bam. This is Peeporp's friend right here, Loudred. It's awfully still for being so loud. They're working on the animations, okay? And we gotta level him up too. And I'm looking for one more wild Pokemon today before we get back to redstoning and I level up these guys. And that will be a Minun, which I believe just spawned like in the plains biomes. So I'm looking around here for an electric rat. Whoa, is this a Sableye surfing doll? What the heck? It's shiny. It's an uncommon spawn, but that actually only took like 2 or 3 minutes. Minun, where are you? There it is. I cannot believe I haven't caught one of these. The hours that I've spent in this biome and I have not caught a Minun yet. Let's see if a quick ball can do the trick. It sure can. And there's Minum, and we just got a little bit more leveling up to do. So let's go around and knock out some wild Miltanks and stuff. And the XP share grinding is over. So let's evolve these Pokemon all at the same time, or as close to the same time as I can get it. Loudred to Exploud, Zigzagoon to Linoon, and Ralts to Curlia. Here we go. Evolve. 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 First up, Linoon. Then we're going to have the Curlia. And last but certainly not least, the loud man himself, Exploud. And just like that, we're up to 546 in the Dex, and we got a little bit more of it done today. Anyway, that's enough Pokemon. Let's get back to making some more contraptions. Oh my gosh, the shiny, the Redstone shiny. Wait, don't I already have one of these? Did I get a double shiny? Oh, I'm like 90% sure I already got this. I would have loved another like a Honedge would have been great, a Tinkaton. I could have had so many other shinies. Okay, don't complain. We got a shiny. Did I not have a shiny Sneasel? What? Okay, I guess not. Just new shiny then. Let's go. This is the second shiny. Oh my gosh. The second shiny in like 2 hours. Probably less. I'm just doing some redstone over here, and I'm just finding shinies. Industrial District shiny rates. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'll go back to doing redstone, and we'll see if we can find another one. It's been about an hour of problem solving. I'm really enjoying the redstone problem solving, and I've got a working system, and I'm going to explain to you all the changes that I've made and all of the little systems that I've got here. But usually I'm like, come on guys, it's not too bad. Okay, this one is it's kind of complicated. It's pretty complicated. I'm not gonna lie. So let's review the changes again. I'm gonna be using a highlighting feature once again to highlight exactly what's changed and how the circuit is working. No highlighting needed though. I've updated this upper part here to make more room. We're not gonna be able to slice them this closely together and get everything to work, I believe. So I'm just gonna space these out about 15 blocks apart, which means our factory gets a little bit bigger, but we'll be able to put 3 on each side or 4 on each side, and I think that'll work fine. Down to the redstone. So let's start up here at the top. Highlighted are the torch towers, and these torch towers are what is controlling the lamps up top to show what is out in the system. This lets the people know in the factory that, hey, we're out of this item and you got to feed more in. That system is running out of the comparators, out of the droppers that's highlighted right now on the screen, and that is also being fed into a permanent off switch. This is a look at how the circuit breaks if the system is out of items. So for example, right now we're out of raw meat, so that piston there is retracted, stopping the circuit from continuing. This is just a foolproof way to make sure that the system isn't running if there aren't items in the system to be dispensed. Next up, we've got an Impulse SV item sorter, and connected to this item sorter are a bunch of hoppers with furnaces on top that are just feeding in to the droppers. We're going to be able to input items into the system into a water stream here and load it up slowly over time with the auto farms. Highlighted here is the permanent on switch. This is what starts the entire circuit, and if there are items in the system, then that sticky piston down there, both of them will extend, completing the circuit and allowing the timer to do its thing. And if you're wondering what timer, it's this little hopper clock timer that I've showcased before. Running into a piston with a piece of sand just to send a pulse out, you can see now that that repeater is running into nothing. But if the system is on and there's items in it, that piston will extend, allowing the circuit to continue and sending a pulse through the system about every 6 seconds, crafting an item. And the last major change is that instead of having 7 dispensers or droppers for items to be fed into, we only needed 4. 1 for the medicinal brew because there will only be 1, and then a repeated pulse on 3 more. 1, 2, and 3 of these are going to have a repeated pulse that goes down through these repeaters and comes back, spitting out 2 of the items, because the order in which the items are fed into the autocrafter doesn't matter. And then of course we have a pulse that comes out of that after it's done spitting out all the items and crafts the item. I tried explaining this a few different ways, and I think that this is the best way to do it. So you can build this in your own world. It is not too complicated, I don't think, but if you want to see a tutorial or a world download or anything like that, I think we can make that happen. Just let me know in the comment section below. I'm only going to do it if you guys want to see it. But of course, now that means that I've got to build a few more of these bad boys, right? They're what, about 9 blocks across. They're about, I guess, close to 15 to 20 blocks deep. And that means we're going to be able to basically copy and paste these. Each one will get different items in their filters, and each one will craft a different type of vitamin item, which means, again, we're gonna have to expand the factory part up top to have 1, 2, and maybe a third one here, and maybe 3 or 4 on another side. Of course, we're gonna have some other auto farms that I want to control from the main factory up here, but that's just something to keep in mind. So the mega factory build, in which all of this will be done and all of this will be completed and everything will be automated and working, is going to be a project that's going to take a long time. And it's not really going to be something that I can probably tackle in an episode like this. However, we've got a great start going with some automation, with proteins being made and medicinal brews being made. And really what we need to focus on now is getting the medicinal brews up and running at full capacity, because every single one of these is going to use a medicinal brew, and getting a few other common items put together. Although I'm not going to be able to auto farm everything today, I can at least get some of these shulker boxes behind me filled with items, and that's what I'm going to be doing on stream. So when I'm recording this, I'm getting ready to go live. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss a stream here, and join me along for the action. So, I'll see you after the stream. And what a productive stream it was. You guys sat along with me as I farmed some berries using a bone meal dispenser thing that we've made before with the medicinal brews. This thing has been in the game forever. Really common, just repeats bone meal. And then we also farmed some red mints. After we had a shulker box with some red mints and some kelpie berries, I decided to try to tackle the raw meat section of the protein maker by making a little makeshift hoglin farm. And this thing wasn't doing too bad. We only AFK'd here about 10 minutes, and we did manage to get some raw meat, but I'm gonna have to build an industrial size one of these things at some point in order to get all the proteins to my heart's content. And then after that, it was back to the industrial district, where I had to make some edits to the aesthetical areas of the factory that is to come. Basically making some space for the interfaces, and I expanded the interfaces themselves on stream with your guys' help. We had a great time chatting with you guys, and I think that this place is starting to look good. Hopefully you're starting to see some shape that it's taking with these like little UI modules all over the place, which means there's more and more for me to do. And we're going to take a break from this in the next episode and come back to it, because there's a lot of stuff I got to do over here, including like automating some more medicinal brew stuff. Like, for example, this, right? Yeah, the medicinal brew is somewhat automated at this point, but there's still plenty of stuff I gotta do over here. For now, we're gonna load this thing up with water bottles and with medicinal brews, or with the medicinal leeks, and we're gonna brew for a while just to get this thing going. So let me load this thing up. All right, shulker boxes full of water bottles. Exciting. And into the system they go. And with the last water bottles in this comparator system right here, it started the circuit. Here's the circuit on the timer, and we got this thing cooking up some items. We've already got about a half a stack of medicinal brews in here now, which we're going to just, I think we're just going to go ahead and input these right back into this little item stream right here so that it can be loaded into the system. We can automate more of this in a later time. For now, it's not too bad manually inputting a few shulker boxes of water bottles in order to get this thing going. There we go. It's connected up to the system. It is feeding in now through these hopper chains with the furnaces on top, which means all the medicinal brews for now are just going to be going into this system here. And we'll probably have to edit this over time so that the medicinal brews can go around to all the different machines. But for now, this is totally fine. One piece of automation, a little bit at a time. I also took a moment to connect a chest up here to the input of the system. Really simple. Again, just a little dropper timer here that'll spit out the items and go into the system. So now that we've got the medicinal brews going in, we've got kelpie berries and everything else already collected, it's time for me just to input them into the system. And one way I can do this is manually, but another way is to do it through this little system I just made. So if you look here, you'll see the items being spit out, going into the system, and they may slide past the hopper if there's too much velocity, but we can take care of that later by just having some repeating water streams, or just slowing it down a little bit with some different items. For the rest of these items, I'm just going to manually go and place them in, because, well, It might take a little bit, but once we have everything automated, this thing will just kind of constantly always be going, so it won't really matter, or there shouldn't be too much like backlog of items in the first place. I'll put a few in here just for the sake of example, but let's get this thing loaded up so we can enjoy our automated protein maker today. The berries are almost done. Here come the mints. This thing's pretty satisfying to watch. And what automated system would be complete without having the export or whatever the system is outputting brought up to basically where the input is so that you can interact with everything in one interface? Adding in a quick bubble elevator, we got this thing ready to spit out from the autocrafter and brought up to a shulker box. And oh boy, has this video been a long time coming, but we are now ready to automatically produce proteins, more or less. Not 100% automated, but you get it. It's pretty dang automated at this point. Moment of truth. Maybe I should have tested this before. No, we're going to test it on camera. Lights on. We got everything we need in the system. Production is ready. Which means we are now producing proteins. I also just put in some kelpsie berries into the system so we can see those being inputted. And once this timer goes, we're going to see this thing dispense all the items that we need. It should craft up a protein and spit one out. Oh my gosh, that's the first protein in the system. Let's make sure that it's working though. Can we get a second protein? Oh my gosh, a second protein! And since the system is loaded with stacks and stacks of stuff, we should be able to get at least like a stack of proteins now. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Oh, okay. I mean, we still got a lot to automate, like the water bottles, I guess we could automate at some point. We're gonna have to feed in, some stuff, I guess. What the heck? Oh, that's a problem. This is why you test stuff. It's working, though. Bam, bam. There we go. Oh, do we have a problem? Why did you get dispensed here? Oh, I see. I see. So we gotta have a block there. I think this is a pretty easy fix. There we go. And it is backed up a little bit, but that's fine. And let's make sure that one's working. Fills up with the items. Place that there. Aha! Yep, that works. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. A giant factory on its way to complete automation of all of the vitamins in the game. There we go. Our glorious proteins. This will be faster than EV training. Although, to be fair, the amount of time I've spent building and designing this, I could have EV trained a lot of Pokemon. But it's about the challenge of automating stuff. Come on. Oh man, all this redstone stuff is beautiful. And the system has been running for about 15 minutes. We're out of raw meat because we only put in a little over a stack. That's okay. Or 2 stacks, I guess. So we should have close to a stack of proteins. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, we got some proteins. And that means I can grab a Pokemon like this Honedge here that I want to max out and attack. And we can just sit here and right click. Okay, yeah, this is much faster than training. It's gonna take, what, like 25, I guess? Let's take a gander at those stats. Oh my gosh, this is so much faster. So thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a thumbs up. It really, really helps out the channel if you leave a comment or, you know, you like the video, share it with someone. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. We're gonna shift it away from redstone in the next one, so... you remember I told you guys that if you made it to the end, there would be a surprise. Well, we'll see. The next one won't be so redstone heavy. See you guys.